Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and for this episode I am delighted to be joined for the third time by bassist Mark Wade, whose new album New Stages is out now on Dot Time Records, and in fact I met the boss of Dot Time Records when I was recently in Bremen. What you're listening to now is Jesu, which I guess you probably recognise the reference. And I also heard Mark performing with his European trio at a marvellous new venue, the Cowshed Jazz Club. So all the links are in the show notes, and I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with Mark Wade. So welcome to Harmonious World, Mark Wade. It's an absolute delight for, I think, our third chat.
Third time's a charm. It's good to be here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a new album out, which we're going to talk about. And you're touring at the moment. You're just coming to the end of your UK tour.
Yep.
So talk to me about the album and when you wrote the pieces.
Sure. So the new album is called New Stages. It's out on the Dot Time recording label. It's my first time on Dot Time, so that's exciting. The music from this album is essentially inspired by classical music that I like. Besides playing jazz, and my band is jazz, it's a jazz piano trio, but just as part of my career I also play classical music, and I've always been inspired by those sounds as well. And over the years I've kind of collected certain pieces and melodies that really hit me very hard over the years, and I knew that I wasn't going to do anything with the originals, of course, from my band, but there was something about it that I said, I've got to find a way to use this material somehow, some way to incorporate this into what my jazz piano trio does. So over the last 8 years, I've been putting together this collection of pieces that I really like, everything from Baroque music through the modern day. Some of the composers are very well known to people, and some would be more obscure unless you're really into the classical music world. And the goal for me was to take these works and kind of bend them through the lens of my own creative thinking and composition process, so that what came out sounded like it belonged in a set of my original music, as opposed to just a tribute to a certain composer or whatnot. And so, 8 years later, here it is, New Stages. And at the time of recording, today is the actual release day for the album. So it has literally dropped as we speak.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and it is a lovely album. I mean, I love your playing anyway. I've really got into bass players and hearing the difference between the way bass players perform. I saw Dave Holland on Monday night. And I mean, he's a genius,
yeah,
but he has his very own individual style.
Yeah.
And you definitely do. And it's really nice to hear New Stages. I think it feels like it might have taken 8 years, but it feels like a moment in time in your style.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's funny because when the very first piece of this I wrote probably right after I finished my first album, Event Horizon, which came out in 2015. And I wrote it and I liked it, but it was different enough that I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? Like, what do I do with this piece? It's nice, but how does it fit, or what should I do? And so I really kind of took my time putting together this whole set of music. So, but we've been working this music since, all the way back then, on and off. In between, I wrote 2 other albums worth of material and released those as well. But I knew I didn't want to do it before this because it just didn't feel like the right time for that project. I wanted to kind of make my name more for writing my own original compositions, maybe without that kind of source material, this kind of concept album. But having done that and satisfied my own, needs for such things, it does feel like this is the right time specifically for this album. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think with albums, I think there often is a specific moment in time when they are ready and you are ready with it. So brilliant. So you're currently in the UK, obviously, because we're talking live. You're in the UK. You've been travelling around and doing a lot of work with Marco Marconi, especially the pianist of from around Hitchin, although not originally.
Yes.
As anyone that talks to him will know. And I'll put all the links actually to the previous episodes where I've spoken to Marco and I've spoken to you. But one of the nice things that you've been doing is you've been working on this course up at Benslow Music.
Absolutely.
So what was that?
Yes, so this is actually my 5th trip to Benslow Music, and I really love my time there working with the students. It's really, I truly enjoy it. So Marco and I, we both teach a course at Benslow Music for just jazz improvisation, getting better at being a jazz improviser. And it's open to all levels, all instruments. This year we had a record high 17 course participants. So quite a few people, and with a waiting list on top of that of people to come in. So the course has really taken off and has been successful. Most of the time in my professional work, I'm a performer, but I do teach, and I've always really enjoyed teaching. At home, I'm an adjunct faculty member at a university back in the States, and I teach about once a week out there. So teaching is something I really love, and the thing I've always really enjoyed about Benslow is just how excited the students are, and just their attitude and their spirit, and how they come to the course and really challenge themselves in a very intensive environment. It's quite a lot of instruction that gets packed into about 2 days. So it's great fun to work with them. I'm happy to say that they have already booked us for 2027. So it's official. I will be back just about the same time next year. We give a concert, 2 days of teaching, and so it's quite a nice little kind of corner of time there.
Yeah, and I know Benslow Music is sort of going through a period of change, and it's really exciting because I live in Hitchin, and we call it up the hill from the town centre, and we're very keen on kind of bringing people from the courses down here into the town, and bringing people from the town up the hill. But obviously, for a course like yours, I mean, that's amazing to have 17 people signed up and a waiting list. Yeah. So that's really good. And so we'll see you again next year.
I'll be back.
Yeah, and the concert as well. I think that's a really nice opportunity for people to see really world-class musicians in Hitchin, in just a little market town outside London. It's
a great venue, where they have the concerts there at Benslow. It's really a great venue. I love the concert there. It's has both the course participants who have signed up, who come to watch us, but of course open to the public. And we get audience members on both sides of that aisle. Yeah. It's really it's always a highlight of my trip over here.
Yeah. So, and where else have you been playing? You were at Pizza Express Live, is that right?
Pizza Express, Dean Street, on Wednesday night after finishing the course. It was a very quick mad dash to London for a sound check. So that was a Wednesday at Pizza Express. Then last night, Thursday, was in Cambridge, my first trip to Cambridge, so that was exciting. We played at Hidden Rooms for the Cambridge Modern Jazz Society there, and that was a really great concert. Great to be there. I had heard great things about Hidden Rooms, actually from the record label, from Dot Time Records. The owner had been there and raved about it. Was excited to hear that I had booked myself there, and it didn't disappoint. Really a great night. We'll definitely be returning there. And then tonight we'll be in the Hertfordshire area at a place called the Cowshed Jazz Club, who is Marco Marconi, who's playing the gig, is also the artistic director at this club. So there's the connection. It's, I think, just outside of Sandon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And that will be the last show for me here in the UK, and that will be the end of the tour for me, and I finally head back to New York.
Yeah, brilliant. So and then what's next? Do you have some dates planned to tour new stages?
Yes. So then I head back home, and then I have a couple of album release concerts back home in the States. One just outside of New York. At Shanghai Jazz Club in Madison, New Jersey, where we're been kind of in residence now for the last few years, and then a concert in New York, in Long Island City, my neighborhood, just across the East River in Queens, at a great venue that's there called Culture Lab. So we're looking forward to those shows too.
Brilliant. And one of the things I particularly enjoy about your playing is that, as you say, you do lots of classical stuff as well. And anyone who everybody should sign up for your Instagram, because there's a great sort of sequence of different people you play with and different organisations and different styles of music and things like that. And I think that it all feeds in, doesn't it, into your style?
Absolutely. Look, I'm a firm believer of, you should always copy in the beginning, the greats, and you want to absorb as much as you can from the people who came before you. But in the end, no matter how much you would try to copy someone, you're always you're never them. You're always going to end up being you. And once you've done your homework of accumulating an informed opinion, then it's time to have one of your own. And I feel like those are my strengths. I draw from a wide variety of music. And classical music is one of them, but it's only one of them. It's jazz, it's popular music, it's whatever. I grew up in a household that wasn't particularly tied to any particular strong musical tradition, so I kind of forged ahead and made my own.
That's really interesting, and I think one of the nice things about jazz is that it takes its influence from all over. I was saying to you earlier that I saw Dave Holland with Lionel Louecki on Monday night, and obviously the two of them, Dave Holland originally is from Wolverhampton, which is, just up the M1 from here. And Lionel Louecki is from Benin. And so they have very different backgrounds. So they bring very different things, and it's lovely when they come together. And I think with you and Marco, I've seen you play together quite a lot. And I love the sort of Italian New York mixture, which is I think very interesting. Yeah. Excellent. Right, and so when can people expect something else from you in terms of albums? Have you got anything else brewing?
Well, the label seemed to, the initial impression from them was that they liked New Stages so much that they asked if I would consider doing a volume 2 at some point. So it is possible that could be in the works. I am an avid writer of music. So while I have, this album has just come out, I'm sitting on a more than probably maybe as much as 2 albums worth of material at home. Some of that it's been sitting there a long time. Some of it is fairly newly written, but I'm always writing music. So I can't say precisely what the next project will be. There is some talk with Dot Time Records. They like to do a live album series at a venue in Augsburg, Germany, of all places, which I have actually done, not for myself, but for one of the other artists on their label, a vocalist by the name of Lizzie Thomas. That's kind of how I got on the radar of Dot Time Records. So I played on her album at the Abraxas Culture House in Augsburg, Germany, a few years ago. So it's possible that I'll be headed there maybe to do a live record. It may be that I will be working on more new material for a follow-up to this one, depending on how things go. But I also have a boatload of other tunes as well. So, the possibilities right now are quite open, I would say.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to whatever it is that you next release. But thank you for joining me, Mark. It's been great.
It's great to be here. It's great to see you again, and look forward to coming back.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to that conversation with Mark Wade. There's a little bit of clattering in the background, but I think it was a lovely opportunity to chat with him while he was over from New York. What you're listening to now is Idyll, which is also taken from New Stages. All the links are in the show notes for the things that we talked about, so please do take a look, discover new music. That's why I'm here, really. Lots and lots of reviews on my website, hilaryseabrook.co.uk. There are now more than 330 episodes to listen to, so I will see you a bit later. Lots more coming up. I have some great guests booked in, and more who I'm talking to about coming on the podcast. You can also find me on Patreon and Substack and all the usual places, so do take a look. And if you come to this on YouTube, then welcome from there as well. So thanks for joining me once more for Harmonious World, and I hope you have a really good week. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.